Hi guys, welcome back to another video. It has been 2 weeks since I recorded, but so much growth and so much reflection has been happening in those weeks, and I wanted to share some thoughts with you. Depression is a really hard thing. One of the hardest things I think I've ever experienced in my life, as I am diagnosed with clinical depression. And unless you have it, the people around you really don't understand. And I think that's one of the most difficult things about depression, is talking to people in your life about it who don't suffer with it. It kind of feels like being underwater, but the other person is above water and you're trying to speak to them. And they're just not really hearing you. They can't decipher what you're saying. They can't feel the water as it's filling up your lungs. They can't relate to that. They can't understand that feeling. But as one person with depression to another, I want you to understand that I do understand. I want you to know that I hear you and that I see you. And even though this is something we have to live with for the rest of our lives, that doesn't mean that there isn't ways to make it better. No, I don't understand why we can't just be normal like everybody else. It's one of the most frustrating things I've had to come to terms with, something that I just refuse to understand, why the universe does this, why it gives depression to people, why we should have to deal with it any more than anybody else. It's exhausting, and it's exhausting to have to wake up and fight every single day. A lot of people say, oh, just keep fighting, you got this. And while I do appreciate, and I think most of us appreciate that support, there are certain moments where it feels like, okay, but what if I don't want to have to fight every single day? There's a point where the motivational clips and stuff just stop helping, and it just doesn't feel good anymore to be told this whole inspiring little thing of the universe gives you these problems because you can handle it. It's just exhausting to hear that. And at the end of the day, I feel like we've forgotten that you're allowed to say that it just sucks. That's it. Having depression sucks. Being invited to things and wanting more than anything to go out and hang out with people that you care about, but you feel like there's 1,000 cinder blocks laying on top of you, and you just feel like an idiot because you can't just sit up and go do it. Or being at an event that you've been thrilled for and excited for months, but just feeling this anger and this fatigue that you can't quite explain, and that your medication just isn't doing enough for, even if you find out you're on the maximum dosage for whatever that medication is. Depression is unfortunately just not your friend, and there is no positive way for me to spin depression in my experience. I just don't feel like it's a positive thing. I don't see the silver lining to it. But what I am going to tell you is the cold hard truth on how to deal with it, because this summer, I have had some incredibly beautiful circumstances and friendships and relationships come my way, and the depression doesn't just disappear when those things happen. And so I want to give you my most honest, no BS tips for how to cope with it and how to stop letting depression take over your life. And letting might be a poor choice of words, so let me rephrase that. Stopping the control that depression has over your life. It's not a choice. It has never been. It will never be a choice. Sure, there are some behaviors and choices you can make that can contribute or take away from your experience with depression, but it's not a choice. But how we deal with it is our choice. But I understand how difficult that is. I understand how complicated that is. And I want you to know how much I care about you. And I want you to know how much I want you to succeed. How much I want you to get away from this soul-sucking type of demon inside of us. That's what it feels like. I would describe it as a demon. And I don't mean that in a religious way. It just genuinely feels so... The way I would describe depression is like a seductive being. It makes you want to lay in bed and do absolutely nothing more than anything. It will convince you, well, if you just lay down and take this 3-hour nap, all your problems will disappear when you wake up, I promise. If you just shove that pile of clothes off your bed and deal with it tomorrow, you'll feel so much better. And I promise you, tomorrow, all the depression will go away and you don't need it anymore. And if you just skip hanging out with your friends this time, that's okay. They'll invite you again. But then the invites stop coming and the clothes keep piling and you keep getting yelled at, and the naps become a problem where you can't even get up at all, and some days you won't get up at all, and then you stop eating, you stop showering, you stop brushing your teeth. People love to romanticize depression until it's the things that actually are harmful to you and somehow to them. People have a wonderful ability to make your depression about them, unfortunately. And it sucks. That's really, I'm just going to keep saying that because it's true. I'm so glad, I will say, I think we are really lucky to live in a generation that is so much more tolerant of mental health issues, and there's so many more support systems out there than there were before. There's a lot more understanding to those issues. If you say depression, it doesn't scare people the same way that it used to. Not to say that there's never been a bad reaction to someone saying they have depression recently, but it's just a lot better. So I think if you want to think about what is the good part of this, there is that. So my number one tip that I've learned, I saw it all over social media, and I never believed it until I took it upon myself. And trust me, I still struggle with it every single day. Depression cannot hit a moving target. Let me say that again, because this is the mantra that has saved my life over and over again as of recently. Depression cannot hit a moving target. But this is the hard part. It's not the once you get moving that is difficult, because once you're moving and you're good for the most part, and you can get through it, work out, walking, going to your job, whatever. But it's those few seconds before you physically get up that are the hardest part of depression. That is the hardest part. It's the getting on your sneakers. It's the changing your clothes. It's the getting out of bed at all. And I wanted to say this a little bit before, just a minute ago I was talking about, people get disgusted about depression and they say things like, depression makes people not shower. Depression kills people. I've seen that. People say that quote all over the place on the internet recently, and it's really true. Depression kills people. So I feel like we need to pay more attention to the warning signs, to the people around us, and to ourselves, because you can do something about it, and I want that for you. I want nothing more than for you to get better. I want to support you through that, and I want to help you with that, and I want to give you the harsh, true advice that I wish someone gave to me, which is why I'm telling you, depression cannot hit a moving target. Now, how do we move? And when I say move, I'm talking about walking. I'm talking about weightlifting, exercising, swimming, playing volleyball, playing soccer, playing basketball, just moving your body, producing sweat, working out, moving your body. How do we get to that point? The only tool that has worked for me in this situation is a technique I learned from Mel Robbins on her phenomenal podcast, the Mel Robbins podcast. Highly recommend you listen to it. Absolutely phenomenal. I love it. Is 5-second windows, okay? This idea of a little 5-second window of time where you make that decision before you can think about it. Literally a 5-second timer. And I'll give you an example of a situation. Let's say I'm laying in bed and I know that the depression is hitting really hard today and I cannot fathom doing anything. I'm feeling really hard on myself. I just cannot accept this idea of I need to get out of bed. And I'm laying in bed and I think about this 5-second window and I picture a big clock, like an emergency clock, like one of those bright flashing alarms. I picture that, and the 5 and 4. And next thing I know, before that counter hits 1, I'm out of bed because I can't think about it. I didn't give myself time to think about it. And at first, 5 seconds was too long for me and I had to cut it down to 3 seconds. Just literally laying in bed, I'm gonna go for a run. And I just, boom, get right up. I'm not saying it's easy, and it might take you a few tries, but in my experience, the 5-second windows are the only technique that have gotten me out of bed. And listen, you can groan and moan and complain the entire workout. You can scream and shout that entire workout. You can type furiously in your phone how much you fucking hate it, and I can't stand it, and I boo, 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 boo. Whatever you want to say, release that anger. Be angry. Be mad that this is hard for you. Go ahead, release that anger. By the end of that workout, I guarantee you will feel better. You will feel better. As hard as it is to get there, release all that anger. Be upset about it. It does suck that to feel normal, I have to do a 20-minute workout as soon as I get up. Of course that sucks, and I don't even do that most days. Sometimes when the depression is really bad, I'll do 10 jumping jacks, 5 squats, just the tiniest bit of movement. You would not believe the science behind what that does for your brain. And I'm going to share some of that research with you, even though I'm sure you've probably heard it already. And I just saw this hilarious meme on my Instagram the other day, and I'll pop it up right here, it's like, I never regret working out, and I always end up enjoying it, and I never ever regret it, and it always makes me feel better. But 30 minutes before I work out, I literally mentally prepare myself like I'm going to be publicly executed. And that is the most accurate depiction of high-functioning depression that I've ever heard in my life. It is hard. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to tell you that it's not hard. I think when you have depression, getting up and moving your body is one of the hardest things you can do, but it sucks because the reality is, it is the tool to fix it. At least temporarily. It is the tool to help you move on. And my piece of advice, and to get out of a funk is what I'm trying to say. My piece of advice is do it as early in the morning as you can, because I've noticed the days that I do it as soon as I wake up, the difference in productivity compared to a day where I push it off until the end of the night or even just the middle of the day, I feel crappy. Less crappy because I worked out, but the person that I am when I work out straight in the morning versus in the middle or the evening, it's a completely different person. I'm telling you, there is science behind this, and I'm going to explain this to you. Just give me 2 seconds. I have some notes here that I'm going to read about the science behind why moving your body drastically changes how you feel when you have depression. There are neurochemical changes. Endorphins can be triggered. Exercise triggers the release of those feel-good chemicals, which can create a sense of well-being and even mild euphoria, which is very true. We've all heard of the runner's high, that goal that you reach after lifting for a while. That euphoria is something you can chase. It is a natural high that you should be chasing, and you absolutely can. Dopamine and serotonin as well. These neurotransmitters often lower with people in depression. Like, with people that have depression, we just have a lower count. We just have a lower threshold for the emotions and the neurotransmitters of dopamine and serotonin, unfortunately. They're boosted by physical activity, which can help regulate your mood and motivation. And it also reduces stress. You release a lot of stress hormones, and it also lowers your cortisol to move your body. High cortisol levels are often linked to stress and worsen depression and anxiety. So reducing them can bring unbelievable relief to your emotions. Also, physical activity increases blood flow to the brain. And the brain is where all of these emotions and chemical imbalances are coming from. So it improves circulation. It can deliver more oxygen and nutrition to the brain. This supports brain regions and also helps to regulate and balance your moods, like the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus, which is usually smaller and less active in people with depression. The behavioral and psychological effects. In my experience, depression has absolutely affected my levels of confidence, and I often feel like my confidence and depression levels go hand in hand. So when I do finish that workout, even if I'm complaining, I'm talking seriously angry the entire workout, as soon as I finish it, I find it a lot harder to beat myself up about the circumstances that I'm in because of my depression. Even small amounts of movement can create a feeling of achievement. Like I said, the 10 jumping jacks, 3 push-ups, 1 push-up maybe, you are accomplishing a little goal that you've set, and the best way to build trust and confidence in yourself is by doing those hard things that you don't want to do. It counteracts the hopelessness, honestly, that comes with depression, because it shows you that you do have control over your life. Even when it's hard, you can make small changes to make your life better. I'm not saying this is easy. I'm not looking you in the face and telling you that you're less than anybody else for having a hard time with these decisions, because trust me, I know it can feel that way. You are not better or worse than anybody for struggling with depression. Don't feed into that bullcrap, because you are not. You are a normal person who experiences things that are a little bit abnormal, and it sucks, and it drains you worse than anything. I literally feel like water going down the drain. By the time it hits 10 a.m., all of my energy is just down the drain, quite honestly. And it just disappears, and it feels like I can't capture it. You know what I mean? I just can't. It's like I'm grasping for straws. I just can't capture the energy in my hands. But contrary to what I think most people think is, instead of working out making you tired and feel like you don't have energy, I feel, and there's scientific proof, that working out boosts your energy levels. Your consistent movement will stimulate neuroplasticity, and your brain will form new connections and adapt and almost crave that exercise until it's a regular part in your life and discipline becomes less of a factor. But we can't get to that point unless we start. When depression makes it hard to get moving, the goal is not a full workout. It's any movement that nudges your body out of stillness. Even small actions can trigger your brain into getting better. Stretch where you are, roll your shoulders, twist your torso, reach your arms over your head for 20 seconds. Even lying in bed, you can point and flex your toes or hug your knees to your chest. Why does this help? Gentle stretching increases blood flow and gives your nervous system a signal to wake up. Depression cannot hit a moving target. That is the simple truth. You will feel after a short burst of movement, maybe even 1 minute of walking around your house or your apartment or down the street, you will feel a physical difference. Depression is incredibly difficult and it's genuinely just tough to deal with. But if anybody can do it, it's you. And yes, while we do have to live the rest of our lives with this chemical imbalance, there are small changes that we can make to make it better. I have watched thousands of hours of videos about depression and how to cope with it. And these are genuinely the few tips that I've taken away from hundreds of hours of podcasts, so many books. You just have to have it to understand it. And I'm here to tell you that you can do this. You can do this. This is possible for you. It is possible for you to feel better. And while some days might be incredibly easy, there are other days that are hard. And there are some days that'll be medium or in between. Maybe you'll have a while where you go consistently with your working out, and sometimes maybe you'll fall off. But give yourself compassion. It is not your fault that you're dealing with this problem. But what you do have agency in is what you do about it. Even when you feel powerless, your soul, who you are, your worth goes so much deeper than what mental illnesses you may or may not have. You can do this. You are capable of doing better and being better. You deserve that. The simple truth is, you deserve to feel better. And the world deserves to experience you when you're at your best or when you're not doing so well. Don't deprive yourself of things you want more than anything. I believe in you. And I wish someone had made this video for me all those years ago. And even now, I struggle with getting out of bed every single day. And some days are easier than others. But I promise you, if anybody can get through this, you can. Hi guys, just wanted to pop in here with some last information. I know this is a totally different camera. I just thought of some more points that I wanted to make. When you get a moment of motivation, do not wait 1 second. Get up. When you feel that small burst of energy, get up, entertain it, go through with it. And when you are in the middle of doing something, let's say this is unrelated and you're just going through something, let's say you're putting your clothes away, do not sit down. Not even for a second, not even for a break. Finish your task, because I've noticed if I sit down and get on my phone, next thing I know, 3 hours have gone by and I'm screwed because I lost the motivation that I had before. So if you're in the middle of something, keep going and finish it. And if you get a random burst of, I feel like doing this, listen to your brain. Get up and go outside, go for that walk. Text your friends, hey, I want to go to the beach. Just entertain it. I promise you, you will feel better. I just wanted to throw that in there because that's also something that I had experience with, I've noticed. And if my friends, it's gotten to the point where if my friends see me start to do it, they're like, no, Bella, get up. We have to finish our task, finish it, and then we can sit down. And that helps me a lot. So anyway, back to the video. Thank you for watching today. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit the subscribe, leave a comment down below. Tell me, what is your personal experience with depression? And do you have any tips for anybody else in the community that might be struggling as well? I believe in you, believe in yourself. I wish you so much love and light and luck on your journey, and I really hope to see you back here soon. Bye.